What if there was one mistake that if you chose to fix could completely change your life forever? Yet every single day, millions of men make the same mistake over and over and over again without ever realizing it. A famous quote once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Every day, millions of young men gain wisdom from YouTube videos, from a big brother, a dad, or an uncle. But how many of these guys actually practice what it is that they have learned? All of you watching right now have access to more wisdom than any other generation that has come before you. And if I would have had these YouTube videos to watch when I was young, who knows how my life would have played out. But the more that I think about it, I'm sure my life would have been much better. Every situation that we encounter in life, especially when it comes to girls, is like a blank canvas, and we are here to sculpt that canvas into something. Every encounter with another human being, or every time a girl gives us that look and we choose to do nothing, what we have done is nothing more than waste another opportunity. What we have done without even knowing it is left another canvas completely blank. We can learn everything that there is to know about girls, but if we never practice what it is that we have learned, then what was the point of learning it? Now they say that knowledge is power, but knowledge is only power if we actually have the courage to use it. If somebody would have taught me that girls respond incredibly well to confident men and not so well to unconfident men, but even after learning this, I never actually did anything to practice what it is that I had learned, then all I would be doing is simply wasting another canvas. All the men in the world who are insanely good at what they do did not get that way only by learning or consuming knowledge. They got that way by learning and then applying whatever it is that they learned. They got that way by consistently taking the blank blocks of marble that life has thrown them and then sculpting those blocks into something amazing. So many guys think that in order to become attractive, all that they have to do is learn about it and then it will just magically happen for them. And as most of you watching already know, this just isn't the case. Now they say that practice makes perfect, but how many guys actually practice what it is that they learn? I'll admit from personal experience, it really does feel so much better to just learn about alpha males and how they act, or learn about what girls find most attractive. And initially, when you get out there into the real world and you practice whatever it is that you have learned, you will feel a lot less comfortable than you do just learning about it. But you have to get out into the world and practice what you have learned. Our modern world now, probably more than ever before, is an everyday struggle. But it's not a physical struggle, like it's not a struggle of whether or not you can stand on your feet for 8 hours at your job. Now more than ever before, our world has become a mental struggle, or a battle that is occurring within our own mind. Ancient Stoics actually saw themselves as warriors of the mind, and they believed that the entire purpose of learning something was to actually practice what it is that they had learned. Every battle that we face on a daily basis, whether it's getting girls to notice us or more importantly, getting to know ourselves, it is really all just a mental battle. Many of the most skillful men in their professions didn't get to where they are because of a stroke of luck or just by random chance. They got to where they are because they learned, practiced, and then practiced some more. Everything that you guys want to accomplish and all the things to do with girls, all of it is nothing more than a mental battle. It's all mind over matter. The physical world that we see with our eyes is literally just photons of light that are being converted within our brain into real-time images. Everything that we think is occurring in the external world is actually occurring within our own head. Something like 80% of becoming more attractive and improving yourself and improving your life, which is the core of what all of these videos are about, is really not learning what is taught in the videos. The actual learning part is only 20% of the solution. The thing that's going to give you 80% of the results when it comes to all the things that you learn in these videos is actually putting that information into practice in the real world. Not too long ago, I watched YouTube videos all day long for months about how to trade the stock market, and although this information was definitely helpful, the thing that I gained the most benefit from was actually practicing what I had been taught. Simply gaining wisdom about something doesn't automatically make us good at it. There are definitely things that I would consider myself to be an expert in because I know so much information about these topics, but if I were to never actually use what it is that I learned, then there is really no point in me learning it. Ask any professional surfer out there and he's going to tell you that the greatest teachers are not some guy that you're talking to on the beach. The greatest teachers are actually the heavy waves that come crashing into you as you are trying to learn to surf. Actually going out there and putting into practice what you have learned is a totally different experience than the experience of learning about it. Something that you guys have to understand about females that is never going to change is that girls will always be looking for a man who has a strong mind. When a girl tells you that she wants a strong man, she doesn't mean that she wants a guy who has a ton of muscle, because we all know that many guys with huge muscles actually have a very weak mind. When girls say that they want a strong man, what they're actually telling you is that they want a guy who has a strong mind. In this day and age, it is pretty rare to find men who truly have a strong mind, or men who practice on a daily basis strengthening their mind by taking the marble blocks that life throws at them and then sculpting them into something. Every situation that we encounter in life, big or small, is like wood to a carpenter, or it's like a blank canvas for us to use to strengthen our own mind. In the year 2021, unfortunately, most of the guys out there are going to leave these canvases blank. And then later, they're going to wonder why girls still don't find them attractive, and why, despite learning everything that there is to know about girls, the results with girls never seem to actually change. The biggest mistake that men are making in 2021 is doing nothing with the metaphorical marble blocks that life has been throwing at them. Every single day that goes by is another opportunity for us to get out there and practice what it is that we have learned, whether it's from my videos or something that you've learned from somebody else. A guy who spends all day learning about something but never practices what it is that he learned is always going to be far worse off than the guy who spent no time learning, but who spent even a little bit of time failing, practicing, and learning from experience out in the real world. Now, even though I try to give you guys simple pieces of knowledge that can change your life, the greatest teacher out there is and always will be the real world or real world experience. A famous quote once said, "Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice." The biggest mistake that men are making in 2021 is simply being too afraid to practice what it is that they have learned. Now, with summer basically here, you guys know that the best time to get out there and find some girls and practice everything that you have learned is right now. Something you guys have to remember is that everything in life is a mental battle. The ability to be confident in uncertain situations, or the ability to not let what other people think of you bother you. These are all things that are mind over matter. Every single fear that we have, every time we want or know that we should do something but we end up not doing it, these are all the times where we have lost a battle within our own mind. Even in physical fights, oftentimes it is not the strongest man who wins, and it's not even the guy who gets knocked down and gets back up again. In many fights, the guy who wins in the end is the guy who simply believes that he will win, or the guy who has already won the mental battle within himself before the fight ever began. One of the greatest pieces of wisdom that I've ever come across is a quote that you guys have probably heard a million times, and it's, "He who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are both usually right." And yeah, it's such a simple quote, but it's so incredibly true. And it applies to pretty much anything that we are trying to accomplish in our life. If I were to walk up to a group of people and assume that before I walked up to them that they don't like me, I will most likely subconsciously cause myself to act in a way that makes them not like me. If I were to instantly assume that a girl thinks that I'm ugly, I'm going to make myself feel insecure and unconfident, and then surprise, what I thought would happen is most likely going to come true. All of life, especially when it comes to the anxieties that we face as men, particularly surrounding females, is all a mental battle, and to win this battle, we have to go out into the real world and we have to practice what we've learned every single day, because practice is what makes perfect, and practice is what makes us good at something. Practicing what we have been taught is the one thing that's going to actually make us confident, and not sculpting the metaphorical marble blocks that life throws at us every single day is the biggest mistake that men are making in 2021. So if you guys have been making this mistake, maybe it's time to think about changing it. And with that said, I love you guys, and until next time, thank you so much for watching.